Is this working? Let's see if it's working. I want to see if I can get this chat working. Bear with me. Nope. That's not what I meant to. Is this what I meant to do? Is this what I meant to do? If you can see me. Okay, I know you can all see me, but like, can you? Why isn't the chat working? Why doesn't anyone know if the chat is working or not? Can anyone see the chat but me? I'm going to Twitter for a second to see if the chat is working. Don't mind me. I'm just, you can see me, but I can't see you because I'm looking at Twitter. But if the chat is working, tell me on Twitter. If the chat's not working, tell me on Twitter. Will someone tell me something on Twitter? That'll be our chat. I need the chat. I need the chat. Where's the chat? Is anybody going to tell me if it's, I don't know what's happening with the chat. I'm trying to get the chat to work, everybody. Edit. See, I think I'm doing this right. I don't know, maybe I'm not doing it right, you guys. Hold on. Does anyone know if that you can't tell me if the chat is working? Hold on. Oscar! Oscar! He'll help. He'll help. Oh, there he is. There's Oscar. Oscar, it's live. But I don't think the chat's working. Oh, he's made a confused face. Oh, he's thinking. He's thinking. Don't. Careful. Can't see him. What do you think? What, this? You want me to hit this? You want me to hit this? Not this, this? No, this. You want me to hit this? This? Wait, which one? This? Edit? Okay, basic info? No? I'm sure this is good. Is this good? Not that? Hold on, let's see if anyone on Twitter has figured it out. I've gotten a... Chat is working. They say the chat is working. I just can't see it. Why can't I see it? That's not fair. Come here. It's okay, Zelda. You can read too. So anyway, for some reason, I can't see the chat, but apparently it's working. So I was going to use the chat. I am going to use the chat. Do you guys mind that this is so bad? Like, honestly, I don't know what you expect from me. But all right. First of all, hello. Welcome. It is so cold out. Certainly where. So what are you eating? She's like, she just came in and now she's like straight up eating the floor. She's like, what? Can you hear that in the back? Zelda, come here. What are you doing? What is in your mouth? Come here. Come, Zelda. Come here. I'm sorry, you guys. I don't know how the chat works. I have to call for Oscar, and now Zelda is straight up eating the floor, and I'm supposed to be like doing a thing like that's all cool. And I don't know, you guys. I don't know why you come. But anyway, I'm going to figure out how to see the chat. Somehow I will find the chat. See, it says over here group chat. I feel so betrayed. I feel like I'm so betrayed by this. You see, I don't use. What are you doing? She's stuck under my desk. Zelda, what are you? You're never interested in my office until come here. You're never interested until I'm doing something. Come here. So, do you guys mind? I'm really sorry. For all I know, you're screaming in the chat, and I can't see it. Like anything could be. Comes out. Come. She betrays me. She wanders off. She's like, my dad's probably going to give me some dinner. So that's happening. Now, where might I see a chat? All right. Look, I realize that you came here to watch something, and what you are watching is terrible. And I understand that, and that's fine. But honestly, I think that this is very on brand for me. I wonder what happens if I just hit the, oh, that's just me. Oh, crap. I can't just watch myself watching myself. This is terrible. All right, let's get to it. Look, I'll figure it out somehow. You know what? Here's how I'll do it. If you guys tweet stuff, I can see that. At some point, I'll snag some people from there to give some books to, because she's back, by the way. Zelda is back. Zelda, do you want to be in Mommy's reading? Do you want to be in Mommy's reading? Zelda, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come on. Yes, I know you're right there. Everybody is waiting. Now, let's get to the reading. It's serious. This is a serious author. Ah, crap. I forgot my glasses. Oscar! My glasses. I think they're next to the bed. I feel really prepared. This is all happening live, by the way. Are you guys impressed? I feel like you should be. It's so easy to avoid criticism when you simply can't see it. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I get. That's not a bad life lesson. Thank you. I'm kind of a genius. Hi, Zelda. Okay, she is. You can see the tail, I think. You're gonna come here. You're gonna come here. Come here. It's okay. You're gonna. Yeah, oh, there she is. Say hi, Zelda. Oh, thank you. Do you want to be in the reading? Okay, we're gonna read. You gonna help me read? We're gonna read this book. True. Oh, crap. See, I have to wear I'm supposed to wear these glasses now. These aren't my real glasses. I'm having my first pair of real glasses made, but these are ones Oscar's doing. He's like doing a semaphore over here. It's very interesting. This is what it's like here in Chez Me. So, okay. Now he's doing this. Now she's over here. All right. Serious author face. Hi, y'all. Now, from this point on, things are going to be very, very dignified. And, I can't. Zelda is now just sitting here. I'll pet her. Now she's gone. Good evening. Welcome on this very cold Saturday to the official reading of Truly Devious. There's a big block on my screen that just says, you. Can't get distracted. This is my new book, Truly Devious. And I'm going to say, because it's so cold and we're having this polar vortex. I don't need these yet. Because we're having these polar vortex in New York, I thought I would read to you from this book, tell you a little bit about it. If you like books, maybe this is the sort of thing that you'll see. I put one back here. So this one is an ARC copy. It's like an uncorrected proof. And I'll put that up there where you can look at it. And but this is this is the only copy I have right now. So they sent it to me. There's a box coming, but this is the only copy I have. And it's really pretty. And I was really excited to see it because I've written a bunch of books. And I used to write a lot more. And then, as I keep saying, a couple of years ago, I had a kind of medical accident. And then I kind of got stuck for like a year and I wasn't able to do very much. And I was working on this, but I was working on it with a bunch of like basically brain damage, not brain damage, but like neurological damage. And my head was like, and it was hard to do. And so I'm really excited that I have a book coming out for the first time in like a while. And I'm actually going to be on tour because this is coming out on the 16th of January, which is in like 10 days. And let me take a sip of tea from my mug because I also have tea because it's cold out. I hope you have a nice warm beverage. So I'm going to be going to a bunch of places. But on the 17th, no, the 16th, no, the 17th, no, the 16th. On the 16th, my calendar, I'm going to be in Seattle at the University Bookstore. And on the 17th, I'm going to be in Tempe, Arizona at Changing Hands Bookstore. And on the 18th, I'm going to be in Littleton, Colorado at the Tattered Cover. And then after that, I'm going to be a different, this is sort of March, April. I'm going to be in Salt Lake City. I'm going to be in Los Angeles. I'm going to be in Katy, Texas at some point. And there's going to be some other appearances after that. So I have this copy of Truly Devious, and I'm going to read from it if that's okay with you. And I'm going to check to Twitter to see if this is okay with you, because that's the only way I can see what you're saying. If you are saying, okay, I can. Some of you are taking pictures of the chat, which is super useful. And newcomers might be wondering if Zelda exists. She does exist. I think you just saw her. Someone says, this is exactly the quality content we all expected. I thank you. I really honestly just lower your expectations with me and you'll be fine. So let me go back to the window where I can see myself holding up a book. There I am. Still that corner says, you. Funny. It's funny. All right. So I've never actually read, I've read this book. I've read it. I have read it. but I've never read from it. So this is actually my first reading. Oh, and there's another thing. And so if you pre-order this book, so you can pre-order it from like anywhere that books are sold. So like if you get books from your local bookstore, Barnes & Noble or whatever, you can order it right now. And like, why wouldn't you, honestly? Like, come on. Like, it's 2018 and like, why not get a book, right? But if you order it from one of two bookstores, one of which is the link in the bottom there is for Blue Willow Bookshop in Houston specifically. I wanted it to use that one because it is a great bookstore, and also it is in Houston, Texas. And I just wanted to support a Houston business because of the Houston floods. So you'll get a signed copy if you pre-order from them, and you also get one of these. And I'll have these on tour as well. And these are these giant, really exciting stickers that say Maureen Johnson Detection Club. We call dibs on the body. And honestly, that you can see like they're really big, like they're almost as big as my face. And you want one of these. And I'll be giving away some of these and some books throughout this, again, when I peek on Twitter. But another thing I really love about this book is that, I don't know, you may not be able to get a really good look at it, but I asked for a map, and they had this amazing map of the campus drawn, and the camera will only sort of pick up some of the detail, but it is absolutely breathtakingly gorgeous. And I love this map so much, and it makes me so happy. So if you do get a copy of this book, and I hope you will, like, you don't have to. I don't want anybody to feel pressured. Like, just get, I don't know, just get it. I don't know. Look for the map because the map is really, really gorgeous. So I'm going to read I think I'm going to read like the first chapter. Really hate reading, so I rarely would do this. I'm sort of just trying this out on you guys. Like, you guys are sort of my, I don't want to say guinea pigs, but you are hearing me read this for the first time. Again, I've read it, but I haven't like read it. Like, I haven't like out loud read it. Well, I've out loud read it, but not two people. Do you see what I'm saying? All right. The other thing is the first chapter of this book. Now I'm just holding it up like I'm in an infomercial. Has this ever happened to you? What you need is Truly Devious. Is that the first chapter? Some of this book takes place in the past. But that's only sections of it. It really is a book that takes place in the present time. And the little jumps back to the past are only limited. So don't think this is a book set entirely in the 1930s. Only little tiny sections of it are set in the 1930s. But I say that because the first section is, and you might hear me reading go, this book was set in the 1930s? And I'd be like, well, not really. But it does have it's a story about something that happened in the past. I wonder if I'm going to read this well. What if I suck at it? Again, I am waiting for my first pair of glasses, and they're supposed to be ready soon, so I'm pretty excited about that. But yeah, I just bought these. I just bought them. You can just buy them. Just going to quick check in on Twitter just to see if you guys are saying anything before I start. Somebody asked, can I pre-order those from Ireland? There's a certain amount of barking that goes on. Oh, someone has posted some Rocky Horror pins on their hat. You're right. I do love it. I'm all about it. I don't know if you've noticed. There's a certain amount of Rocky Horror bling around here. Infomercial Maureen may be my new favorite Maureen. Well, thank you, because has this ever happened to you? Has it ever happened to you? Has it? Has it? I think I look like really smart and probably like a genius wearing my glasses. Probably. So it starts off with an image of a letter. By the way, I'm reading from the book now. Like, not right now, not this part isn't, but what I'm about to do. So I'll show you a little picture of this because you're about to hear a ransom letter, and it's written in ransom letter type. And I just wanted you to see that. But Neil Gaiman doesn't give you this kind of insight. Federal Bureau of Investigation, photographic image of a letter received at the Ellingham residence on April 8th, 1936. Look, a riddle, time for fun. Should we use a rope or gun? Knives are sharp and gleam so pretty. Poison slow, which is a pity. Fires festive, drowning slow. Hanging's a ropey way to go. A broken head, a nasty fall. A car colliding with a wall. Bombs make a very jolly noise. Such ways to punish naughty boys. What shall we use? We can't decide. just like you cannot run or hide. Ha ha. Signed, Truly Devious. That's the end of the letter. And that's where the title comes from. So you can, that's the April 13th, 1936, 6:00 p.m. Fate came for Dottie Epstein a year earlier in the form of a call to the principal's office. It was not her first time there. Dolores Epstein wasn't sent for any of the normal reasons, fighting, cheating, failing, absence. Dottie would get called down for more complicated matters, designing her own chemistry experiments, questioning her teacher's understanding of non-Euclidean geometry, or reading books in class because there was nothing new to be learned, so the time might as well spent be doing something useful. Dolores, the principal would say, you can't go around acting like you're smarter than everyone else. But I am, she would reply, not out of arrogance, but because it was true. Some might say she was like a genius, a stable genius. That's not in the book. I'm going to editorialize as we go. I look very I do this a lot, and that's cool. This time, Dottie wasn't sure what she'd done. She'd broken into the library to look for a book, but she was pretty sure no one knew about that. Dottie had been in every corner of the school, had worked out every lock, and peered in all the cupboards and closets and nooks. There was no malicious intent. It was usually just to find something or to see if it could be done. When she reached the office, Mr. Phillips, the principal, was sitting at his massive desk. There was some... Occasionally, we will stop for a dog barking. Get this one piece of hair. When she reached the office, Mr. Phillips, the principal, was sitting at his massive desk. There. You know, I should point out that as a lot of my days are spent with a dog, it's just the hand came and shut the door. It was very exciting. Is this a good reading? I'm not sure if it is. It's... you're saying... okay, some of you are saying that you like the reading. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Now, when you get the audiobook, and the audiobook is read by Kate Rudd, who is a great reader. She's not going to add all these comments that I'm adding. I don't even really think I need these glasses, honestly. I can pretty much see. Okay, when we left, the principal was sitting at his desk. There was someone else there as well, a man with salt and pepper hair and a marvelous gray suit. He sat off to the side, bathed in a striped beam of sunlight from the window blinds. He was just like someone from the movies. He actually was someone from the movies in a way. Dolores, Mr. Phillips said, this is Mr. Albert Ellingham. Do you know who Mr. Ellingham is? Of course she did. Everyone did. Albert Ellingham owned American Steel, the New York Evening Star, and Fantastic Pictures. He was rich beyond measure. He was the kind of person you might imagine would actually be on money. Mr. Ellingham, something wonderful to tell you. You are a very lucky girl. Come sit down, Dolores, Mr. Ellingham said, using an open hand to indicate the empty chair in front of Mr. Phillips' desk. Dottie sat, and the famous Mr. Ellingham leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees and bringing his large suntanned hands together in a knot. Dottie had never seen anyone with a suntan in March before. This, more than anything else, was the most powerful sign of Mr. Ellingham's wealth. He could have the sun itself. That rhymes. I've heard a lot about you, Dolores, he said. Mr. Phillips told me how bright you are, 14 years old and in 11th grade. You've taught yourself Latin and Greek? I understand you do translations? Dottie nodded shyly. Do you sometimes get bored here in school, he asked. Dottie looked at the principal nervously, but he smiled and nodded encouragement. Sometimes, Dottie said, but it's not the school's fault. Both men chuckled at this. Both men chuckled at this, and Dottie relaxed a little. Not much, but a little. Free dog. I've started a school, Dolores, Mr. Ellingham went on. A new school where special people like you can learn at their own pace, in their own way, in whatever manner suits them. I believe that learning is a game, a wonderful game. Mr. Phillips looked down at his desk blotter for a moment. Most principals probably didn't think of learning as a game, but no one would contradict the great Albert Ellingham. If he said learning was a game, it was a game. If he said learning was a roller skating elephant in a green dress, they would go along with that too. When you have enough power and money, you can dictate the meaning of words. I expect that one to be highlighted in the copy. I'm just saying. I mean, I feel like I'm making a little commentary on the Times. There's a lot of commentary on the Times in here, but we'll get to it later. I mean, it's later in the book, not in the section I'm going to read. I'm editorializing again. I've chosen 30 students from a variety of backgrounds to join the school, and I'd like you to be one of them, Mr. Ellingham went on. You'll have no restrictions on your learning and access to whatever you need. Wouldn't you like that? I'd like it. That's not in the book, it's me. Dottie liked that idea very much. But she saw an immediate and inescapable problem. My parents don't have any money, she said plainly. Money should never stand in the way of learning, Mr. Ellingham said kindly. My school is free. You are there as my guest if you accept. It sounded too good to be real, but it was true. Albert Ellingham sent her a train ticket and $50 in pocket money. A few months later, Dottie Epstein, who had never been out of New York her entire life, was on her way to the mountains of Vermont and surrounded by more trees than she'd ever seen. The school had a grand fountain that reminded her of the one in Central Park. The brick and stone buildings were like something from a story. Her home in Minerva House was large but cozy with a fireplace. It was cold up here. It's cold here today. Actually, I just want to footnote this and say that basically where this is in Vermont right now is like cold as 20 ounces. So like it's cold. It's cold up there. There were books, so many fine books, and you could take out as many as you liked and read whatever you wanted with no library fines. The teachers were kind. They had a proper science lab. They learned botany in the greenhouse. They learned dance from a woman named Madame Scotty, who ran around in a leotard and scarves and had giant bangles up and down her arms. Mr. Ellingham lived on the campus with his wife Iris and his 3-year-old daughter Alice. Sometimes fancy cars came up the drive on the weekends and people in marvelous clothes stepped out. Dottie recognized at least 2 movie stars, a politician, and a famous singer. On those weekends, bands came in from Burlington and New York, and music came out of the great house until all hours of the night. Sometimes Mr. Ellingham's guests would walk the grounds, the beads on their dresses winking in the moonlight. Even in New York, Dottie had never been so close to celebrity. The staff was careful to tidy up, but the grounds were vast and full of hiding places, so they left traces everywhere. A champagne glass here, a satin shoe there, endless crushed cigarettes, feathers, beads, and other detritus of the rich and wonderful. Dottie liked to collect these things that she found and keep them in what she called her museum. The best thing Dottie found was a silver lighter. She flicked it on and off and was pleased by its smooth motion. She was definitely going to turn the lighter in. She just wanted to hold on to it for a while. Since Ellingham gave its students freedom to work and study and wander, Dottie spent a lot of her time on her own. Vermont was a different sort of place. This wasn't like climbing down fire escapes or up water pipes. Dottie acclimated herself to the woods, to poking around the edges of the campus. That's how she found the tunnel on one of her first outings after she arrived in Ellingham in the fall. She was exploring the woods. Dottie had never experienced anything like this thick canopy of leaves and the deep quiet, except for the occasional rustling noise. Then she heard something familiar, the sound of something thin and metal underfoot. She knew the drumlight sound immediately. It sounded exactly like the sound of a sideway hatch made when you stepped on it. Dottie opened the hatch and saw a set of clean concrete steps leading down into the ground. She found herself in a dark brick tunnel, one that was dry and well-maintained. Her curiosity was piqued. She used the silver lighter to guide her way through it to a thick door with a sliding panel at eye level. She knew this kind of thing at once. They were all over the city. This was a speakeasy door. The door was unlocked. Nothing about this tunnel seemed very secure. It was just there to be explored, so she explored. The door opened to a room about 8 foot square with a high ceiling. The walls were covered in shelving, and those shelves were full of bottles of wine and liquor of every description. Dottie examined the ornate labels on the colored glass, labels in French and German, Russian, Spanish, Greek, an entire library of alcohol. There was a ladder built up into one wall. Dottie climbed it and opened the hatch at the top. She found herself inside of a small dome structure with a glass roof. The floor was covered in fur rugs and cushions, several ashtrays, and a few errant champagne glasses. She stood on the bench seating that ran around the rim of the room and realized she was on a small island in the middle of the ornamental lake behind the Ellingham Great House. A secret nook, the most perfect secret nook in all the world. This would be her reading spot, she decided. Dottie Epstein spent a lot of her time there, curled up on a fur rug, a pile of books by her side. No one ever caught her there, and she was sure that if Mr. Ellingham did, he wouldn't mind. He was such a kind man and so full of fun. Nothing could be safer. And at this point, there's a little doodad on the page that indicates that some time elapses before the next paragraph. I'm just going to check to see what you're saying on Twitter. I am still reading. I just want to make sure. Everything is so far good. Okay, great. You're all fine so far. I wonder if I get more replies if I wrote my resume in ransom font. Someone says, yes, you would. And right now, I'm going to give away my first signed copy of a book and sticker to somebody who tweets something about me saying this right now. I'm just going to wait and see who replies to this. Boop boop, doop doop doop, ba ba ba, doobie ba bloop bloop. Somebody tweet, say that you want it, and you're gonna get it. Doo 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 ba. I'm just hold on. Okay, here we go. Someone says, Austin, you say I have to leave for work. I want that book and sticker. Austin, you got the first one, so send me just a tweet that says it's me, or and I'll send it to you. We'll make a note afterwards of everyone who gets one. I have a couple to give away. So let's go back to the reading. Now, some time has elapsed. Remember, we left it as a little tiny doodad. Okay. We're still with Dottie, though, okay? It's just like she discovered the tunnel in the first bit that we read, but now it's like, okay, remember, it's April. We're on April. See, it's much easier when you just read it, and I'm not reading it to you, but now we are on April 13th, 1936. That particular April day was strange and foggy, blurring spaces between the trees and blanketing all of Ellingham Academy in a milky mist. Dottie decided that the weather lent itself to a mystery. Sherlock Holmes would be perfect. She'd read every Sherlock Holmes story, but rereading was one of her greatest pleasures, and this fog was just like the London fog in the stories. She had learned which times were best to go to the Little Dome. It was a Monday afternoon. No one from the big house would be there. Mr. Ellingham had driven off that morning, and Mrs. Ellingham in the afternoon. Dottie took the collection of Sherlock Holmes stories from the school library and set out for her secret place. The view from inside the little glass dome that day was like being inside of a cloud. Dottie stretched out on the floor, pulled the fur rug over her, and opened the book. Soon, she was lost in the streets of London. The game was afoot. Dottie got so lost in her reading that she was taken unawares by a noise directly below her. Someone was in the liquor room and was climbing up the ladder. Someone was right there. With no time to get away, Dottie pulled the heavy fur rug over herself and pressed herself as far against the wall as possible and tried to mix in with a pile of cushions. Just stay on the floor. Be a lump. She heard the groan of the hatch being lifted, the thunk as it fell back against the stone. The person hoisted themselves into the dome and stood just a foot or so away from Dottie's face. She prayed they didn't step on her. She pulled herself in tighter. The person moved away from her and set something down on the floor. Dottie took a chance and lifted the edge of the rug and saw, by just an inch, and saw a gloved hand putting items from a sack on the floor. She chanced another inch to get a better look. There was a flashlight, binoculars, a length of rope, and something that glinted. The glinting thing was handcuffs, sort of like the ones her uncle, the police officer, had. A flashlight, binoculars, a rope, and handcuffs? A flush of adrenaline ran through her body, skyrocketing her heart rate. Something was wrong here. She let the rug drop over her face and hunkered down tight, her face pressed into the floor, flattening the bridge of her nose. The person shuffled around the space for several minutes. Then there was a sudden quiet. Had they gone? She would have heard someone leave down the hatch by her head. Her breath came back hot against her face. She had no idea what was happening, but it made her head light. She began to count in her head. When she reached 500 and there was still no noise, she made the decision to slowly lift the edge of the rug again. Just a finger width. Just a touch more. No one was there in her line of sight. She inched it up a bit more. Nothing. She was about to lift it when, "Hello," said a voice. Dottie felt her heart pressing into the floor. "Don't be afraid," the voice said. "You can come out." There was no point in hiding now. Dottie crawled out from under the blanket, clutching her book. She looked at the visitor and then at the objects on the floor. Those are for the game, the person said. Game? Of course. The Ellinghams loved games. They were always playing them with guests, elaborate treasure hunts and puzzles. Mr. Ellingham had filled the student houses with board games like Monopoly, and sometimes he even came down to play. Flashlight, rope, binoculars, handcuffs. It could be a game. Monopoly had strange pieces too. What kind of a game? Dottie said. It's very complicated, the person said. But it's going to be a lot of fun. I have to hide. You were hiding in here too? To read, Dottie said. She held up the book and tried to keep her hands from shaking. Sherlock Holmes? Said the person. I love Sherlock Holmes. Which story are you reading? A Study in Scarlet. That's a good one. Go ahead, read. Don't let me stop you. The visitor got out a cigarette and lit it, then smoked it while watching her. Dottie had seen this person before. This is someone who might very well have been playing one of the Ellingham's elaborate games. But Dottie was also a New York girl who'd seen enough to know when something was off. The look in the eye, the tone in the voice. Her uncle, the cop, always said to her, "Trust your instincts, Dottie. If you have a bad feeling about something or someone, you get out of there. You go and you get me." Dottie's instincts told her to get out, but carefully, act normal. She opened her book and tried to focus on the words in front of her. She always kept a bit of pencil up her sleeve for taking notes. When the visitor looked away and out the glass, she pushed the pencil down and into her palm, a move she had perfected over time, and roughly drew a line under a sentence on the page. It wasn't much, but it was a way of making a note that maybe someone would understand if no one would understand, and if was too terrifying to think of. She pushed the pencil back into her sleeve. She couldn't pretend to read anymore. Her eyes couldn't track the words. Everything in her shook. I need to get this back to the library, she said. I won't tell anyone you're here. I hate it when people tell on me. The person smiled at her, but it was a strange smile, not sincere, pulled too far at the corners of the mouth. Dottie became acutely aware that she was in a structure in the middle of a lake, halfway up a mountain. She ran all possible scenarios in her head and could see how the next few seconds were going to play out. Her heart slowed, and the sound of its beating thudded in her head. Time was going very slowly. She had heard stories in which death was present as a character, a palpable force in the room. There was such a force in the room now, a silent visitor in the space. I have to go, she said, her voice thick. She started to move towards the hatch, and the person moved that way as well. They were like players on a chessboard, working things out to an inevitable end. You know I can't let you leave, the person said. I wish I could. You can, Dottie said. I'm good at keeping secrets. She clutched her Sherlock Holmes. Nothing bad could happen when she was holding Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock would save her. Please, she said. I'm so sorry, the visitor said, with what sounded like genuine sadness. There was exactly one move left in the game, and Dottie knew it was a bad one. But when you have no spaces left on the board, you do what you have to do. She lunged for the hatch opening. There was no time to try to get out onto the ladder. She dropped the book and leaped into the dark hole. She reached out blindly. Her fingers slipped along the rungs of the ladder, but she couldn't get purchase. She was falling. The floor met her with a terrible finality. She had a pulsing moment of consciousness when she landed. There was an ache that was almost sweet, and something warm pulled around her. The person was coming down the ladder. She tried to move, to slide along the floor, but there was no use. I wish you hadn't come here, the visitor said. I really do. When the darkness came for Dottie, it was quick, and it was total. I'm going to read one other thing, which comes right after that, but I'm just going to check in and see what's what. Just, hey-ho. Do you keep a pencil up your sleeve? Is that your secret power? Someone asked. No. Let's see. Someone says, I want the school to be my... It can be. You can go to this school if you want. Let's see. Book. Okay, so I'm going to go back now and read just the next section, which is just, it comes right after that. So it comes like literally, it's like right there. I'm not like jumping ahead or anything because this will sort of set you up for the rest of the book. Excerpt from Murders on the Mountain, the Ellingham Affair. Ellingham Academy was located halfway up a mountain officially named Mount Morgan. No one called it Mount Morgan, though. It was always known locally as Mount Hatchet, or the Big Axe, because of the protuberance at the peak, which resembled the tools of the same names. Unlike the mountains around it, which attracted skiers and vacationers, Mount Hatchet was largely undeveloped and wooded. Hikers like it, and so did loners and birdwatchers and people who enjoyed mountain streams and getting lost in the woods. In 1928, when Albert Ellingham came upon it, people avoided the Big Axe. No roads, no matter how rough, went that way. The woods were too thick, the river too deep, there were too many falling rocks. It was too wild and strange. According to the legend, Albert Ellingham had come to the place purely by mistake when trying to get to Burlington to the yacht club. How you accidentally found yourself up the side of an uninhabited mountain in 1928 is unclear, but he had done it and proclaimed the spot perfect. He had long had the dream of establishing a school that employed his own principles and ideals. Learning as a game, a blend of rich and poor students, everyone learning together at their own pace. The air here was clear, the birdsong pure. There was nothing to distract students from their purpose. Ellingham purchased a massive plot at 3 times the asking price. It took a few years to dynamite enough flat space to build the school. Rough roads were cut, the telephone company ran wires and put in a few payphones along the way. Slowly but surely, Mount Hatchet was connected to the world by a dirt track and a few wires and a stream of people and supplies. Ellingham Academy, as it would be known, was not just going to be a school. The Ellinghams also built a home there, smack in the heart of the campus. And it wasn't just any home either. It was the grandest home in all of Vermont, large as the largest buildings in Burlingame or Montpelier. Albert Ellingham wanted to live in his experiment, in his seat of learning. The grounds were full of statuary. The property was crisscrossed with pathways that made no real sense. The rumor was that Ellingham followed one of his cats around The rumor was that Ellingham followed one of his cats and had a stone path made along any route it preferred to take because he felt, quote, cats know best. The rumor wasn't true, but Ellingham enjoyed it so much that there was another rumor that he started the first rumor himself. Then there were tunnels, the fake windows, the doors to nowhere, all the little architectural jokes that amused Albert Ellingham to no end and made his parties infamously entertaining. It was said that even he didn't know the location of every tunnel or space, and that he had allowed the various architects to put in a few as pleasant surprises. It was, in short, idyllic and fantastical, and may have remained as such had it not been for that foggy night in April 1936 when truly devious struck. Schools may be famous for many things. Academics, graduates, sports teams, they are not supposed to be famous for murders. Dun dun dun! Chapter 1 begins in the present with the first line, which I'll read to you, is, "The moose is a lie," Stevie Bell said. Well, Stevie Bell is the main character, and most of it takes place in the present. And Stevie Bell is a true crime aficionado who has been accepted into Ellingham Academy for being basically a true crime aficionado. And she wants to solve the Ellingham affair, which the beginning of which is the first thing you read. So the first thing that happens is Dottie is attacked and something happens to Dottie, but more happens that night. It turns into a big thing. So I hope that was okay. It was the first time I read it. So if y'all have any questions about that, I will now look at questions on Twitter. I will now take any questions on Twitter. And if you don't have any, you don't have to have any. I'm just hanging out. And I could read more. I don't think it was too bad. I really hate reading in general. So that didn't feel too bad to me. It didn't feel too I don't know. Every time I read, I feel like I'm going like that. You guys have been very kind about the another building stuff where cats sit down reference. Somebody says, have I done that before? It feels like something I would do, honestly. Is that a thing I've done before? Somebody seems to know better than I do. Let's see. Somebody said, okay, so there's a number of questions here. Someone says, what is your writing process like? Well, I would call it, it's a process. Sure is a process. In this particular, so this is part of a 3-book series. And the way this one had to be, because it's 2 mysteries, a past mystery and a present mystery that are both separate and intertwined. because someone is in the present is trying to solve a past mystery, and the stakes of the past mystery, you will learn, are quite high and involve not just the benefit of solving, the fame of solving this crime, but a lot of money and power. So I had to know everything that happened. And it's a pretty long and complicated story. Like, it's a multiple murder, kidnapping. So I had to create giant charts of everything that happened. And then I had to divide, so past and present, and then interlink them, and then figure out how to cut into sections, and which parts to reveal at which times. And then there's a lot of past research for the 1930 stuff. And I've actually just made a Pinterest board, and I'm going to make a site, but there are these books that were published in the 30s that I really love called Here with the Clues. And I should have kept one. I should have brought one in here. But basically, they're books of photographs and documents that you literally just go through the photographs and documents to solve a case, and there's a sealed solution at the end. So I wanted to make something sort of like that for the book. So I've spent probably more time than I should have finding old images and labeling. So you'll be able to see some images of the figures from the 1930s and things like that, and images that mirrored the inside of the school and things. So that's a little thing I've been doing. But the process in the beginning was a little jumbled because I was sick. I see my notes from then. They're like, who wrote these? But I mean, I knew what I was doing, but it was a little like, woo. I have a big whiteboard, which at the moment I can't turn around because it's covered in notes about the book. But I know all the solutions. I have a solution file. And the story is fairly complicated, but if delivered over the course of 3 books, it should be, like, there's a lot that happened that led to all of these events, past and future. And Stevie Bell is the main character, and she is obsessed with true crime, also fictional crime. Like, she reads mysteries in general. And like me as a kid, I'm writing mysteries because I really love mysteries. Mysteries were like the #1 thing I read as a kid. And I've written some mystery, like I read The Shades of London have mystery like elements, but this is a straight up mystery in there's no ghosts. Although I see on Amazon it's trending as a ghost story, and I'm like, it's not a ghost story. There's no ghost in it. There are no ghosts. I hope that's okay. There are no ghosts. Unless just murders are ghosts to you, which they aren't. Okay, let's see. Are there any other? Someone said you're writing a series. Do you have the plot of the whole series worked out completely before you finish the first book? In this case, I did. I had to, because it was the only way this could work is if I literally know everything that happens. My friend Jason Keeley, he's an actual friend of mine. Is the Academy inspired a bit by the Winchester Mystery House? Yes, it is. It's the actual structure. I spent a lot of time on the structure of this campus. Like, you guys have no idea. That's the thing, is sometimes you put a lot of work into stuff for a book, like kind of labor that no one will ever see or even pick up on, that you're like, I've obsessively mapped all this out. But if you've never heard of it, the Winchester Mystery House is a house in California that was built by the widow of the man who owned the Winchester Rifle Company. And she became, I have to get this right, I think she became convinced that if she stopped construction, like a medium or somebody told her after her husband died that if she stopped construction on her house, she would die. So her house was perpetually under construction for something like 20 years. And she just had nonsense built, like stairways that go into walls, windows that don't go anywhere, doors that open up onto nothing. And you can tour it. When I go out to California, I'd really love to go and see the Winchester Mystery House because I've never been there, but I've seen a lot of images of it. And it's based on things like the H.H. Holmes house, the murder palace in Chicago, now torn down, and a bunch of other houses that I've and some castles. I basically stole from a bunch of stuff. Thank you for giving me a thumbs up on that. I'd recommend that you put your book against the other pillow so it can be seen. This one? Like this? Or do you mean this pink one? I don't know. Let's see. Any other questions? Is this going okay? Would you say this was going okay? I hope that this is going okay. I wish I could see the chat. Everything would be easier. If someone wants to know if I said, is the moose alive or a lie? And so I'll just read the first paragraph of the actual present time story, just so you can hear what I said. I mean, I can do that. It's short. I'll just read a little bit. But, oh my God, I don't need them. The moose is a lie. L-I-E. It's a lie. The moose is a lie, Stevie Bell said. Her mother turned to her, looking like she often looked, a bit tired, forced to engage in whatever Stevie was about to say out of parental obligation. What? She said. Stevie pointed out the window of the coach. See that? Stevie indicated a sign that simply read, Moose. We've passed 5 of those. That's a lot of promises and not one moose. Stevie, they also promised falling rocks. Where are my falling rocks? Stevie, I'm a strong believer in truth in advertising, Stevie said. This resulted in a long pause. Stevie and her parents had many conversations about the nature of truth and fact, and might on another day have erupted into an argument. Not today. They seemed to decide, through some mutual and unspoken agreement, that they would let the matter slide along. It wasn't every day you moved from home to go to boarding school, after all. I don't like the fact that we're not allowed to drive up to the campus, her father said, for what was probably the 8th time that morning. Illingham's information packet had been very clear on this point. Do not attempt to drive students to the school. You will be forced to leave them at the roadside gate. No exceptions will be made. There was nothing nefarious about this. The reason was well explained. The campus had not been designed for lots of cars. There was only a single road in, and there was no place to park. To get in or out, you took the Ellingham coach. Her parents had viewed this dimly, as if a place hard to reach by car was somehow inherently suspicious and impinged on their God-given American freedom to drive wherever they wanted to. Now, you may have noticed that there's a little line in there about truth and fact, and we may see, especially as time goes on with these books, a character that, a political character that shades the truth. That may happen. Did I mention you get a sticker if you pre-order? I only say that because I just put my hand on them and almost stuck it to my hand. So if you order from Blue Willow, you get the sticker. Or if you come to the signings I just really like the sticker. I'm going to be honest with you. The sticker makes me really happy. So if you come to any of the signings in Seattle or Tempe or in Denver, again, not next week, but the week after. It's so soon. I got to pack. I will have those. But if you order, there's a link. I put a link in the thingy. You'll get a signed book. And I think I just really like the sticker. Okay, I'm just going to check to see if anyone has anything else to say. Let's see. I feel like I should, is Stevie in honor of Stevie Nicks? You owe me. You know me maybe a little too well. It's possible. I'm just saying it's possible. Maybe it's more than possible. Do the stickers match the colors on the book? Yeah, the artist tried to. I think, yeah. So he based it on those. They were made by Jeffrey, who runs, I believe it's pronounced Topatico, which is a merchandise company that does, more on my PJs, a merch for places like Night Vale. And they do This Is Fine Dog and things like that. And so he makes really cool stuff. And so he made these. And I love them so much. Someone says, that went from fun to death real darn fast. This book goes from fun to death constantly. So I hope you like going from fun to death. And it's only going to get worse with time. There's going to be death. So I should give away another signed book. I'm trying to think what would be a good way to do it. Again, just say that you are the person that wants it and the first person I see, because you came to this live stream, and I appreciate that. So so if someone says it, let's just refresh. It's being a little slow. It's being a little slow. It's being a little slow. Una in Ireland. I will send it to you. It's gonna take a little while to get there, Una in Ireland. But if you could just email me your address, it's Maureen at MaureenJohnsonBooks.com. And are there any other questions that I can? This has been fun. I always think that these things are going to be so hard, and they're not. Like, they're not that bad. I don't know if I'm any good at it. Like, they're not that bad. It'd be easier if I could see the chat. I'll be honest with you. It'd be a lot easier if I could see the chat. Let's see. I'm just looking. Oscar has entered the room. He's sneaking around. He's looking. Oscar, what are you doing? You just trying to see what's what? He's going. You taking the dog for a?
No. Oh. If you go to YouTube.
Yeah.
On yourself, you'll see the chat.
Oh, so he's saying if I go to YouTube to myself, I'll see the chat. Which sounds, frankly, a little suspicious to me. Look, I'm not going to do that. I have this Twitter thing set up, and it's honestly going great for me. I mean, it's not going great, but it's going fine. It's fine. It's going well. Thank you for saying I'm going to come here. So do you want to say hi to everybody before we go? Come on up. This is my girl. Come here. Come on. Hey, sweetie. She's going to lay down over here and scratch her butt. She does enjoy scratching her here. So I'll just show. Here we go. This is my girl. She has been a tremendous help in the writing of this book. She's eating her foot. You eating your foot? Do you even know that everybody's watching you eat your foot? She's really going to town on it too. She is just eating that foot. It's just chomping away on that foot. How's that foot taste? I want to take a bite of that foot. I'm going to take a bite of that foot. She loves it. I'll put the book against her. She doesn't mind that. No, don't lick it, honey. No, honey, don't lick it. There. She doesn't mind. It's just sort of standing up against her. So I'll just see if there's do one more, see if there are any more questions before I fade back into the background. Oh, where's she going? She's leaving. I will say that because, again, I'm doing this because it's so cold today, and so she has not really been on any of her normal walks because it is. Let's see what the temperature is right now, just for funsies. This in Celsius. Okay, now it's just being a jerk. Let's put it in Fahrenheit for funsies. See, Fahrenheit doesn't make any sense in cold weather. It's 12, which honestly seems like it's warmer than they said it would be. And in Celsius, it's -11. And then tomorrow, it's supposed to be -8, which, it's actually, it's pretty balmy. Balmy. So let's just refresh this. It's just being super slow. All right. Well, it's being slow. So I want to thank you all for coming to this little impromptu. Some more people have joined us. I hope that was okay. So if you order it, thank you. If you want to read it, get it from the library, or just stand around a bookstore, read it, or sneak into my house and read it. It's fine. Could do that. If you think maybe I should do another one of these at some point, I don't know. Do people like them? I don't know what people like. Whatever. All I know is it's too cold to go outside. I just sit around and drink tea and stuff like that. Just drink tea and stuff. It's good. But it's been real. Next time I'll know what, you see, if I keep doing it, I'll know what I'm doing, and I won't be so confused every time and be like, I don't know where the chat is. I don't know where anything is or what's happening. But I hope it sounded good and it wasn't too painful to read. It wasn't too bad. It could have gone worse. It could have gone worse. And I don't know what you think about the glasses. Again, they're gonna make me glasses. The place that makes glasses. But I think that they're no, it's all blurry this way, but like I'm getting used to it. Getting used to sort of sometimes having to put my glasses on. But I never remember to carry them because I don't have to wear them that often. I'm always like, I need my glasses. And then I say it like that. I need my glasses. So that's pretty fancy. I hope that this is the kind of thing that you have come to expect from me. This kind of smooth talking, this kind of just general, just fancy delivery. A kind of fancy way of speaking. But again, I'm just going to reiterate the facts. The book comes out on January 16th. That's in the US. It is coming out in the UK. It is coming out all over the place. I don't know the UK date. I think it's in February, but I'm waiting for confirmation. It'll be out all over the place. But the foreign editions kind of roll out over time. I'm starting, so it's a short tour next week. Seattle, January 16th. Tempe, January 17th. Highlands Ranch, Colorado, the Denver area, January 18th. And then later on, Salt Lake City, Los Angeles, Katy, Texas, and probably some other places coming up. But next week, if you are in Seattle or if you are in Tempe, Arizona, or the area, or Denver, Colorado, and you don't come to see me, then I will be super sad all the time. Like literally all the time. Again, there's this link down there. YouTubers are always doing there's link to it in the doobie doobies. Except mine's not in the doobie doobies. It's just like below this. If you want to pre-order it from a great Houston bookstore, which I feel good about saying that because it's supporting a great bookstore in a city that had a lot of crappy stuff happen. And so any, buying from a local Houston bookstore is like always a good thing. And you'll get a signed book. And again, one of these stickers, and I will have these stickers on tour. And boom. Just boom. Boom. Thank you guys for joining me. It's been an awesome hour. Do not go outside. Do not go outside. It is not okay out there. It is not okay to go outside. I love you all. I love you. I love you. I'm going to hit the button. I love you.